Can you hear me? I guess I didn't mute my mic. Okay. If you can hear me, I'm gonna turn my mic off, run the whole setup, and show you.
with that, we see the fires lit, the engines start to roar, and lift off. Scott Tingle, Anton Shkaplerov, and Norishige Kinai on their way to the International Space Station.
With curiosity, seeking clues, planetary puzzle on life on Mars. Sound suppression water system activated. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis. Mission to build, resupply, and to do research on the International Space Station. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And liftoff of longitude and degrees south.
Looking good. Also seeing a good...
Yes! Hi, again. Yes, we're live. Oh my god. I didn't feel nervous this time. Ooh, whoa. Special. So, today we have an Ariane 5 carrying HYLAS 4 and DSN-1 / Superbird-8. So, the HYLAS 1 is for Advanti, and it will be stationed above Africa, and it will provide service to Europe and South Africa and parts of Southern America. And the DSN Superbird-8, DSN-1 Superbird-8 is for Sky Perfect, or Sky Perfect JSAT, and it's a Japanese company, so I believe it will be stationed above or at the equatorial location that's this is actually what it looks like right now. Let me just... Oh yeah, and sorry for the camera, but I'm still using my webcam since the they didn't deliver my camera EC adapter yet, so that's for next launch, which will be Saturday, hopefully. And then I will be finishing the Atlas 5, and I will be streaming the what is it called? The launch of the Atlas 5 later in the evening. So, yeah, the Ariane 5. Do you want the specifications first? We have 9 minutes, so enough time to explain. The specification first, or first one, the launch sequence? Let me tell you, you are my nose. I don't know. I have it printed out, so I was prepared this time. So, let me just show you. Let's put it like this. Then it's a little taller. It's it almost is as tall as the launch tower. Yeah, I believe I fixed my internet now, so. Okay, and it uses different second stage, so that doesn't matter, but you will see actually they're now completing all the checks, and 7 minutes before they actually lift off, or actually 7 minutes and 7 seconds, but I'll get to that later, they go in internal power, I believe, and they start a synchronized sequence. So that means that the computer inside the rocket is continuously checking itself if all the values are still in line, and if the engine are still okay, if the computers in the boosters are still okay, and at t-5 seconds, you will see these yellow arms. The left second stage of the or on the old Apollo launches, you'll see it like actually retract, fold out, sort of fold and fold away. Then at t-4 seconds, let me see. Oh yeah, and then at t-0 they start the ignition sequence. So at t-0 they ignite the Vulcan engine, and that's down here. They ignite the Vulcan engine, they let it ramp up, and at 7 seconds offline. Oh yay. I see it, but I'm still streaming. Let me just disconnect from one of the Wi-Fi networks. Maybe that will help. But they will ignite and they run it till 7 seconds, and if everything is okay, they will go ahead and I don't care, my computer is running too slow. Anyway, they will at 7 seconds, if everything is okay, the computer checks it one final time, and then they ignite the boosters, and once they have the boosters on, there's no turning back, and every umbilical will disconnect. So let me move this to the side. Then it will head straight up, and at 12 seconds it will start pitching over to the so it's going the correct way, and then 5 seconds later we'll start its roll to basically get it on the correct trajectory. Then at 2 minutes and 31 seconds the boosters will separate. Then 2 minutes later at 1 minute later, actually it's just 56 seconds later, the fairing will separate. Then they will, this stage fires for a very long time. It fires for 8 minutes and 53 seconds. Then it will separate from and fall away. It will fall off the coast of it will fall off the coast of Ivory Coast. So oh scrap, yeah. And this stage is not actually the one they use. It's the ES version that was used on the launches of the Galileo satellites and the I hate when it happens. Yeah, same. And on the ATV launches, yes. And for the ATV launches, they only fueled it half. There was only 50% of the fuel they could put in there, because otherwise the lifter couldn't get off the ground. And also why they use this one is it has turbo propellant, because the and the engine can ignite multiple times. As I learned just a few months ago, this one has actually a tiny solid rocket booster inside of the engine, and at ignition they fire it. It produces 500 atmospheres of pressure and a lot of heat, and they fire it to spin up the turbo pumps and get the engine running. And once that's depleted, they can't shut off the engine and just turn it on again because they have no power to start up the pumps. And the same is for the ESA second stage, or for the ECA second stage. It has the same system and it can't fire up its engine again. That's why for the Galileo satellites they use this one. And funny fact, the igniters are, so it's a pretty important part. The igniters are made in just an hour drive away from here, and they also make the Vega igniters. So that's pretty cool that they are made in the Netherlands. Risky business, yeah, indeed. So as you can recall, I believe it was 2 launches ago from the Ariane 5, or maybe 3. It was last year. They started the engine, but then one of the alignments of the boosters was wrong, and so they had to shut it off again. So the Ariane, unlike the Atlas 5 or the Delta 4, they can't like let it sit on a pad and the next day launch it again, because as you might have noticed, they pull these arms out before the launch, and so they have to place those back, and also the igniters on the engine have to be replaced before they can fire it again. And so yeah, that was pretty interesting, I think. And so yeah, again with the timeline, if you want to know, so the second stage ignites at 9 minutes 3 seconds, and it continues to fire until 25 minutes 8 seconds. Then it will shut off. It will go like it will do some sort of spin, a slowly spin around its axis. Then it will probably pitch down, release the first satellite, and I can show you. There's not one set, but there's 2. So the I'll say call it the upper passenger. That's this one, and the lower passenger. But the lower passenger is always the smallest satellite, and the upper passenger is always the largest. So the lower passenger has a sort of extra fairing around it. So this is the fairing, and inside the fairing there is another fairing, and I can even show you. It's the Galileo one. So they will spin it up, release the first satellite, then turn it into another direction, then release the SILDA, and it's called SILDA because it's System Launchement Double Ariane, I believe. My French is like meh. I suck at French, so yeah. And then they will wait again a few minutes, and then they will release the lower passenger. And we're still waiting on Ariane. The stream, I will check check my Twitter feed. Is there any problems with the launch? Vega. I haven't seen any coming by. Almost live. Yes, there we go. We are live. I will just head over to this one. So yeah, you will see the stream live. So again, for times, the separation time for the DSN-1 Superbird-8, so the upper passenger, isn't noted in the press release. It just says XXYY. And at 32 minutes after launch, they will separate the Silda, and then a minute later they will separate the lower passenger. So yeah, Simon will kill you. I don't think he will kill me. It's just that I like German more, and I think it's easier than French, so I didn't choose French as a subject in school, so yeah. Also, this rocket is special because, as you might know, the Atlas V or the Falcon 9 has a trajectory which first puts them in a parking orbit, and then, for God's sakes, but what was I telling? Oh yeah, they put it in a parking orbit, and then when they're over the equator, boost it into a geostationary transfer orbit. This rocket just goes all the way, boost it all in one way. They separate the stage, fire it until it's in its target orbit, and that's really special. And also, it's a really powerful rocket, and it's European, so that's why I love it. If you have a question that just pops in your mind and you want to ask it while the guy is talking, just ask it. There's no audio. Should I turn it? Or there's
for Japan and Sky Perfect JSAT, and another for the UK and Avanti Communications.
Well, the one thing I don't like about the Ariane 5 is that the liftoff time is not in line with T0. Well, they decided it to be T0 because it's the time when the engine ignites. So, you want to hear the speech?
Gentlemen, Arianespace is delighted to welcome you for its third launch of the year from the Guyana Space Center.
He should learn better English, sorry, but
in a few minutes,
if I can do it as a Dutchman,
DSN-1
he should.
Superbird-8 for close customer Sky Perfect GSAT. This high-performance telecommunication satellite has been manufactured by NEC Corporation and Mitsubishi Electric Corporation. HYLAS 4 for the British operator Avanti. The high-throughput satellite has been built by Orbital ATK, another close partner of Arianespace. Thanks to Sky Perfect GSAT and Avanti for your trust. As you can see on the control screen behind me, Ariane 5 is on the launch pad after having been transferred yesterday. All the operations linked to the final countdown went well. So
what's the difference between ELA 2 and ELA 3? Well, ELA 2 is the one, so they have 3 launch sites. Actually, they have a 4th one, but that is for the Soyuz.
And 260 kilo.
So,
the liftoff occurs 7 seconds after the H0 at the initial of the
he's telling you, guys.
Ariane 5 will then head towards the east to separate
Ariane 5. The drone has left its home base and will soon be sending us some fine shots of Kourou, so don't go away. For now, take a closer look at the Ariane 5. She stands 50 meters tall, weighs 774 tons fully loaded. That's with passengers and fuel. She's in 2 parts, a lower composite and an upper one. The lower composite including the main core stage and the boosters, and the upper component including the upper stage, a single engine, and the fairing, and inside the fairing, of course, the 2 satellites, DSN Superbird in the upper berth, HYLAS 4 in the lower berth. We'll be describing each in turn as it is functioning. For the second launch of the year, we are lifting 10 tons. Look at the customer side.
Let me put it on Twitter that I'm
is the
hosting.
Arianespace point person for DSN Superbird. He's with his customers, and alongside him, on the HYLAS side, you'll be seeing Beatriz Romero with the people from DSN-1-HYLAS. And we'll be hearing from both of the project managers, there's Beatrice, later on in the broadcast. Launch window tonight, 50 minutes, plenty of time. Total mission time, half an hour plus, 33 minutes. And now, thanks to our drone...
Oh, and you can see in front of the... In front of your view now, that's the excavation, or that was the where they're building the Ariane 6 launch site.
Welcome Rainbow and the canoe, or the pirogue. The bridge across the Kourou River, leading to the port of Kourou and fish market. This is at one end of the old town. Farther up, the old town, St. Catherine's Church dates from the 18th century. Moving out of the old town, the Atlantic on the upper left meets the Kourou River on the upper right. Pirogue racing on the river. There's also another race called Rame-Guyane, where solo rowers cross the Atlantic, and right here is where they come in.
I need to
Devil's
fetch
Islands on
the
horizon,
link.
which were prisons from
Let me just
1852
turn
to
off my
1946. Alfred Dreyfus was held here. You can visit the islands. It makes for a nice day out. Back in the mainland, the Dreyfus Tower, where the river meets the ocean, communicated with the islands using flags in the days before radio. The beach and the park alongside with its many palm trees are very important for the people of Kourou. Not only are they popular spots to watch the Ariane launches, but on weekends they're full of picnicking families, and the skate park was full of young people. During the summer, people come to enjoy open-air concerts.
Yeah.
Roughly 26,000 in Kourou. The first citizens were Amerindians.
So again,
the Montagne des Pères, near Jupiter, the first place where the telemetry comes in from the launcher, and we'll be back to visit later on.
Let me turn down his sound.
We're going to take a look at the Toucan observation site.
Yeah.
I think where our VIPs and
again,
guests are watching.
this booster, let me just... So the boosters each burn 200 tons of solid fuel in just over 2 minutes. Then again, that's a lot. Actually, they burn 240 tons. Then this part, so the core stage, will burn 147 tons of fuel. And the upper stage will just burn 14.7 tons of fuel. That's a lot.
And you just heard him, he's going to call out the 7-minute mark. This is the final sequence before liftoff, called the synchronized or automatic sequence. Computers are carrying out the final checks. On the right of your screen, the status panels in green are a real-time summary of all the launch activities here at the space base.
So
check them before liftoff.
you can see those yellow arms, they will retract, and those feed fuel to the second stage.
We're going to go now for a look at a short film on what we call the launch campaign to see how Ariane is put together for her mission.
No, it is from another model, but
DSN-1 Superbird-8 arriving again
I can tell you, today I've designed the Silda for the Ariane 5, and I'm designing the what is it called? The second stage to go with, or the engine to go on the second stage. I will do the same with the ES variant, but since it's only flying once, I think it's not really worth it anymore.
End of S5C to start its launch preparation phase. The satellite was then transferred to S5A, where the orbital teams completed the filling operations. The combined operations between the satellites and the launch vehicle started at D-11, with satellite DSN-1 Superbird-8 being strapped onto its flight adapter at the S5B. The satellite was then transferred to the BAF to be first
Hey.
integrated with the cylinder and encapsulated under the fairing,
Just
after
let
which
me
it was
refresh
hoisted
the page
onto the
again.
launcher with the upper composite. HYLAS 4 started its combined operations with the launcher at D-9 at the S5A building, where it was strapped onto its flight adapter. The satellite was then transferred to the BAF to be directly integrated into the launcher and encapsulated under the upper composite at D-6.
So you can see they transfer first build up the Ariane 5 and then move it to the so the tracks, if you have the map like this, there's a building here and a building here. The tracks curls around the building, goes into the building, so they drive the whole pad into the building. Love the hoodie. Yeah, I love it too. And then they move it to the launch pad.
Who gave us the authorization to transfer onto the launch pad. Once the ground installations and the launcher are put into the flight configuration, we shall conclude with the final chronology phase before liftoff. Special thank you goes out to all the operational teams for their huge efforts and their contribution to take us through this very challenging launch campaign.
So many things happening in these last moments before liftoff, a very crowded schedule. At this moment, the launcher's lower stage fuel tanks have been topped up, and the upper stage tanks are being topped up. Europe Spaceport, you're looking at, has everything you need. The Jupiter Mission Control Center, of course. There's also a payload preparation complex where the spacecraft are ready.
This is the last time I will have this crappy webcam, so I'll have to tell you again, sorry.
Support buildings and a launch center.
Yep, and the new launch pad for the Ariane 6 will be even more dedicated. Well, they have a different kind of integration. They will, right now, the rocket is put together vertically. The Ariane 6 will be put together horizontally, and then they will drive it out to the pad, erect it, and then they will put the payload on. And that will allow the Arianes to be built faster.
And he coordinates with Mission Control for final
or actually assembled faster. They are built in Europe.
Conditions are right. He then okays the automatic sequence at -7 minutes, which we saw a moment ago. In all, about 100 people hard at work just now in Launch Control Center, going over the final checks and the final verifications, and there are a lot of them, on all parts of Ariane's launch systems. Building is about 2.5 kilometers from the pad. CSG spread over 700 kilometers, about 1% of French Guiana. Coming up on 2 minutes to go to launch of the 98th Ariane 5 mission. And inside Mission Control, very shortly, the VIPs and the invited guests will begin to make their ways outside to watch the liftoff. You know, if you've been here, there are 2 terraces on either side of the building that give a fine view onto the pad. Ariane 5's flight path takes her from the pad.
There you can see those arms. They both feed.
Split screen shot shows the propellant feeder arms in the middle of the launcher. Liquid hydrogen on the left, liquid oxygen on the right. We're going to pull back in just a second, give you a better look. They're putting fuel into the upper stage tanks, and you'll see these arms pull back at 7 seconds before ignition. There they are, the yellow bars in the middle, going from the gantry into the upper stage.
That's
as I told you. You'll see at liftoff. We just like to point it out.
There are these arms.
A minute 20 to go. For the third
it's like it's hugging the rocket, and then just before it's like a mom saying goodbye to her kid. She's like, no, I don't want to let you go, and then she just lets go, and it goes off.
1 minute mark.
I just like that. Will be max payload for
give us a chance in the final 60 seconds to say hi to our friends at Sky Perfect JSAT in Tokyo, to our friends
I think it's the 200th satellite by the Ariane family
in London. Also to our industrial partners ESA and CNES, and to all of you following on the internet. We hope you're
have fun.
The evening.
I will just shut up.
To the DDO, he will call out the final countdown. Watch for the cryogenic arms to open. That sets the ball rolling. Enjoy the liftoff, everybody.
tous de DDO. Attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
3, 2, 1,
top.
There they go. Ignition of the engine. I hope it goes off.
Allumage du Vulcain.
Yes, there it goes.
Allumage des EAP, décollage.
Woohoo! Thanks for looking that up for me. Oh, love that rumble.
La propulsion est nominale.
So,
Right on time, as the DDO says all is normal on board.
At-
Ariane 5 began her mission,
well,
leaving the
I
ground.
don't think we
here in
can
French
see
Guiana
it,
with a roar
but if they
of
have clear
engines, a lot of
skies,
fire,
or if they
and
have
two
just have
satellites.
enough space between the clouds, we can see the boosters
Everything okay
separate,
on
and
board,
that's
the DDO
a
says
lovely
the two
sight.
boosters are providing 90% of our thrust right now, propelling the launcher along her trajectory. as she
Sorry, I
reaches
have
into the
a,
open sky above the clouds at an ever higher velocity.
my nose is plugged.
774 tons at liftoff, remember, and to get that sort of mass off the ground, you need a lot of push, and push we have. She's burning 5 tons of fuel every second, 2.5 tons in each booster.
Whoa,
Plus
you
the core
saw
stage
a Ariane
burning
5?
300 kilos per second.
When?
Paramètres bord sont normaux.
Ariane 5 now following the program in the onboard computer, which gives all the orders, including stage separations, which we will soon
Decollage,
see.
that's... So,
At a minute
we
and
have
into the
a
flight,
minute
we're in the first
before
four
the
flight
booster
phases.
separation.
We'll describe each in turn so you can follow. Right now, the first flight phase, the single first stage engine and the 2 boosters are burning. You can see on the animation. The boosters will each consume their 240 tons in just over 2 minutes, and they're the first to be extinguished. You'll hear that from the DDO.
So, why they use boosters on
This first flight
the...
phase using both cryogenic fuel and storable propellant.
I will
NOx.
just turn in
Cryogenic
his sound down.
propulsion
Go in and
Performance, you can tune it
shut
off
up a
and
bit for a bit.
on. Motors also function longer.
Et calme.
Oh my god, that you were so lucky.
We may see separation.
Wow,
There is a separation of the
those
like the flame out.
pictures are epic.
Burned it. You see the central white point of light.
Whoa.
The core engine continuing to burn, and the 2 orange.
There you can see the booster separating. These are images. Those are not live.
Booster on the port side, which is out of camera range. They fall 500 kilometers from shore into a protected area. French Guiana was in part chosen as a base for its open water water,
Decollage.
posing no threat to the local population. We'll have more on that up later on as the DDO continues to say all is
And there goes the fairing in just a second.
our altitude
3 minutes, 28 seconds.
on the right. The speed we need for satellite separation is
Is it still on course? Can someone
9 kilometers
check for me? It's still on course, right?
an hour.
La trajectoire est nominale.
Fairing separation coming right
Are they SRBs? Yes, they are. And they use them because the engine, the core stage, is really efficient, but it doesn't have that high of a thrust. So they use the SRBs to just get off and out of the atmosphere and give it a little boost, and then the core stage takes over. And in the beginning, it doesn't have a lot of
Ariane 5 is the heavy lift launcher. Soyuz lifting middle-sized payloads.
thrust to weight ratio is really low. Therefore, they have a
Passenger coming up,
relatively high pitch, and that's orbital mechanics stuff. I will maybe make a video of it, explain it later, and then they will pitch it down slightly, and then they separate. But
company Skype after GSAT Corporation now operates 17.
but after they separate, they are what you're gonna see on the trajectory is that the rocket goes up, and then it will make a slight dip, and then at the lowest point they will go up again, and that's because it has a low thrust to weight ratio, and it kind of uses speed that it's going. When it goes down, it kind of uses gravity to go faster, and then poof, goes on.
This is where we have performed a combined test between the launch vehicle adapter and the spacecraft in order to verify the specificities of the interfaces.
It's still on course. We're not gonna have a launch failure this time.
We have experienced on this program. However, we have overcome all of them thanks to the company's cooperation involved. I'd like to express my appreciation to Ariane Espace, CNES, Freelance Services, NEC, Merco, and all people involved in this program.
So all the best to
So yeah,
Superbird-8 for its launch and early operation activities.
hope it will.
We are in the second powered flight phase.
And you can see in the animation, you can see the booster, what they call rolling. It will roll around because the upper passenger is exposed to the sun, and if they keep it at the position the same position all the time, one side is gonna get really hot and the other side is gonna get really cold. So you have a lot of stress on the satellite itself. That's why it slightly makes those oscillations. It goes back and forth to spread the heat load. Please keep it English. I want to read it too. Well, my French is good up until the point that I can read what you're saying. I understand, but please keep it English.
There are several observation sites across the base, and we have cameras at most of them. And they send in here sometimes their shots of launch from different angles, which is very interesting. Here's another. As Ariane rises into the hazy twilight here in French Guiana, we're about to be picked up by our first downrange tracking station. It's located in Natal, that's in Brazil.
Switching to English. Oh, should I turn the sound up again or is it okay?
This looks like it's from Toucan. That's the closest, about 2 kilometers from the pad. What do the ground stations do with the information that the launcher is sending back? Well,
so what you see is that now the rocket has actually has a slightly downward trajectory. Ja, ik kan ook Nederlands gaan praten, maar ik denk niet dat jullie er dan iets van verstaan. Het kan wel, maar ik denk niet dat het zo handig is, aangezien een heleboel mensen een beetje... Nou, kijk, we hebben weer een Griek, we hebben hier 2 Fransmannen die wel Nederlands kunnen, en we hebben waarschijnlijk nog een paar Engelse mensen, dus ik denk niet dat het kan. Okay, sorry, I'm switching back to English. I love bilingual education. I can just switch from English naar Nederlands en ik hoef er niet eens over na te denken, because I had lessons in those for 3 years. Ta-da!
And there we have ignition of the upper stage. All these commands given by the
I love how my English is so slow compared to my Dutch. So yeah, there we had it. We had the upper stage fall away. And actually, about that, a trilingual. Ja. Ik kan ook Belgisch gaan praten, maar ik denk niet dat iemand daar iets van verstaat, ja. Guess I can speak Flemish, which is a dialect of Dutch, which means I'm trilingual. Also, I can do Zeus, which is my dialect here. So, does that make me pentingual? Or what is it? Yeah. Bilingual and a half, yeah.
At Sky Perfect JSAT Corporation.
So yeah, as you can see, the rocket is still going down, and as you can see, it's not leveled with the surface, but it's slightly pitching up, so it stays, so it keeps that slowly downward trajectory until it hits its orbital speed, and then it just goes perpendicular like this. It goes, it's level with the surface and until it hits its desired point.
In fiscal year 2018, our fourth co-owned satellite.
When it's going down, it accelerates. Yeah, but it's it accelerates mostly because it has its engine firing, and yeah, you can kind of see it as using gravity to go faster.
We are planning to place 2 more new satellites in orbit by 2019.
Am I loud or?
Our satellites are being used on a daily basis for transmitting many kinds.
I have both of my earbuds in, so if you want me to turn down my voice, just tell me, because I can be really loud, and I can see in my bar I am in my audio bar I'm kind of loud. Well, I speak Cypriot, Ancient Greek, Modern Greek, English and German. Guten Tag, meine Freunde. Ich spreche auch ein bisschen Deutsch. That's my 5th language.
No matter where the user is, and the use of these on ocean-going vessels, aircraft, and other forms of mobile transportation is on the increase. By promoting the use of disaster-resilient satellite communications and expanding new multifaceted fields that link the public and private sectors,
I can only count in Russian.
To become an even stronger global player in the future.
Oh yeah, that's the telemetry dropout they have from the 2 ground stations. They just don't overlap, so they have a dropout of
multi-channel satellite broadcasting.
Tracking data. It's not coming back. Oh my god, seriously, is this the 2nd failure they have?
3 million subscribers are currently receiving Sky Perfect TV broadcasts.
No. This, yes, it's back. Oh my god. This made me so
via smartphones, tablets, and other mobile terminals.
This made me so scared.
Full lineup of content centered on our live distribution services, which is one of Sky Perfect TV's strengths. We are also forging ahead to enrich IP liner distribution for multi-devices.
Oh my god.
And as a new initiative, we have joined with En route, Japan's
largest
drone
waiting up.
manufacturer.
Yeah, Virgin had its first powered flight. It was out of nowhere. They would just were, okay, we're gonna power it up now.
For our initiatives in the field of low orbit satellites, we have launched a service for the sale of the world's first high frequency.
Yeah, they only fired their engine for 30 seconds. I should have a model of the Spaceship 2 lying around somewhere.
In addition, we have formed a
I
strategic
built it,
business
but I
alliance
guess I
with
destroyed it
Enterprises.
because
DSN
I'm
Enterprises
not
developed a
that
low-orbit
careful.
satellite network that uses laser communication to connect satellites with one another, enabling low delay and high security communication. And through partnership with Chimeta Corporation, automobiles, trains, and other such moving vehicles.
Ja, ein bisschen Deutsch. Ja, ja. Das ist sehr schön, ja.
With communication satellites, including communication between moving vehicles. Making the world our market, enriching people's daily lives.
Ich auch, aber sehr wenig.
We are Sky Perfect JSAT Corporation.
Na. Meine Nachbar ist Deutsch, so ich denke, dass ich mehr Deutsch gelernt habe in der history. Okay, my German kind of sucks. In der Geschichte dann anderen Menschen gelernt haben. Is that even good German? I don't think so. But still.
DSN-1 Superbird-8 arrived here in French Guiana on February 6th and was taken to the S5 satellite facility.
So yeah, as you can see, it now is going upwards again, so it hit its orbital now, and it's just pushing that farthest point away and stretching its orbit, and it's going till 30, so the highest point will be 35. I have an Ethernet connection, but I'm using 5 gigahertz internet, so I think it's okay. But
after the launch of HYLAS-1 in 2010 and HYLAS-2 in 2012.
Yeah, my bit rate, I don't know. I'm just starting this, sorry, but. And it's also, I have my screen that I'm watching right in front of me with my webcam, and I have all the other stuff like OBS and the chat over there, so I guess I need to rearrange things, and maybe instead of using my laptop, I am gonna use my overpowered computer next time, but I need to transfer all the files I need to that computer. But guess I could work it out for next time.
Additionally, 4 independently steerable high-power spot beams will be able to deploy on-demand Ka band spectrum in civil, government and BSS frequencies.
Thanks for helping me, and if you ever have something, also for the other guys that are watching this, if you ever have something like a tip or something I should do next time, like make a list of what you're gonna tell, or if you have questions for me for next stream, also send them in, and then I have something to talk about. Yeah, I will grow for the next one. About Saturday's stream,
HYLAS-4 is Avanti's 3rd satellite.
I think
with Ariane space, so 100% of the fleet launched by the European launcher.
Maybe I can combine my building stream and my launch stream, because I will start streaming my
more recently, Avanti owns
my building stream probably at 9, and I think it launches at 12.
Europe, but also to Africa, South America, the Caribbean,
so guess I could do that and then halfway through switch over to having it as a launch webcast, or just be down for a brief moment, let me refresh and then go again. Does it sound good to you guys, or
Flight 52 back in 1992.
give me your opinions.
With NASA. And 2 more orbital built satellites are in the Ariane space order book. Our next film looks at HYLAS.
We should change this topic. Yeah. We should talk more about rockets instead of about languages. But I kind of think languages and rockets go together, because this is mostly, it's all the other countries working together in mostly English, but then they launch in French. still love you guys. You're my regular ones. I should make you admins if I grow larger. So if I have 1k sub. But anyways, you should. I'm way too small for everyday astronaut to notice me. And I told him last time that the rocket boosters on the Atlas V are being held on the rocket to get it just that little bit more distance, also to let them burn out, but afterwards they keep them on to give them more distance from the coast. And he said, he just totally said, no, that's not true. So yeah, I'm too small, but in the future maybe.
Coast of Africa in Gabon. Till Ariane 3, the last downrange station was in the Ivory Coast. For Ariane 4, we needed a new station farther east, so we set one up in 1986.
So as you can see, they are really quickly going up, and I think it's about 9.2 kilometers per second, and then they will shut off the engine.
In the vehicle equipment bay is something called the central telemetry unit. Inside that is something called mass memory, and the exact times and durations of the signal loss.
So yeah, again, let me explain. I told you there was a fairing inside the fairing. So the black part you can see under the satellite is the SILDA. That is the system. Let me check. Sorry, system lancement doublement Ariane, I believe. I can't pronounce it, sorry. And it's to protect the satellite that's underneath, and also give support to the other one. Otherwise they would just have to attach them on top of each other, and that doesn't really work.
Also, second launch on Ariane 5 this year.
And so yeah, so they will release the satellite, then turn the composite, as they call it, turn it the other way, then release it so the SILDA doesn't hit the rocket, and then they will turn the second stage with the satellite, turn it another way so the second satellite doesn't hit the SILDA again. Also, there is a system. Technically, they could launch three smaller satellites on a Ariane. They have the SILDA, but they also have Speltra. That is System Lancement Tertiaire Ariane, I believe. And that is basically, they add another part of the fairing underneath this, and then they sort of extend the fairing, but there is a satellite underneath, and then they just stick the SILDA and the fairing on top of it. So they have a sort of extension with a satellite underneath. Why does it spin? You mean when they are detaching, or right now?
HYLAS 4 joins HYLAS 2 as the second high-throughput satellite we built for Avanti. We have really enjoyed working with this customer again. Over 900 people have contributed to HYLAS 4 at orbital ATK. The program is also supported by a team of world-class suppliers. We wish Ariane a successful launch and HYLAS 4 great success in orbit. Allez Ariane 5, go HYLAS 4.
I'm just waiting for the answer. I don't... But for... When it detaches, yeah, it spins it up slightly. So, as you might know, some companies use springs when they detach it. But Ariane Space uses explosive bolts. So those explosive bolts can have a slight different force on the satellite. So what they do is they slightly spin it up, so it gets some sort of gyroscopic stability. Just think it as a slow spinning gyroscope, because it has a lot of mass, but it's turning slowly. And when they detach, and let's say one of the bolts gives 10% more of force on one side than the other, then the satellite is not going to spin just out of control, but it's just going to slightly wobble on its axis, and then eventually it will naturally find its axis again, and then I believe 20 minutes after launch they will stabilize it. And the same is for the second satellite. And there we go. We have second stage shut off.
So our powered flight phases are over. We are coasting now.
So there might be some fuel in there.
The upper stage doesn't mean nothing is happening.
Well, it does get influenced by the force of the bolts, but those are not equal. When you have a spring system, it is. They also spin it up. Actually, it's to see to get the force equalized among the whole satellite. So when they spin it around its axis, let me just get something that I can spin around its axis. When they spin it and it gets a slight force in one way, it will just wobble around its axis and then naturally finds its initial axis. It was rotated around, and you can do this experiment yourself by just having a gyroscope, let it spin, and then just push it, and you will see it finds its initial it's getting late, sorry, I'm losing my vocabulary, or I'm losing my its initial
the upper stage is carrying out these maneuvers right now. All of this programmed in advance.
State you put it in, it will find it again, and eventually, even in space, those gyroscope will drift, and they will drift of their position, and then that's why sometimes they recalibrate their wheels.
People in French Guiana, most of the country.
I do need a lab. Yeah. I'm planning on building a hybrid rocket engine next year for a school project. So, yeah, I need a lab.
Trajectory, and that brings us right here. Another place that's very active tonight, the CVI, or the Quick Look.
Also, the satellites that are on this rocket don't need to spend that much fuel on changing their orbit, because when you go from the Cape, you have 26 degrees of inclination. So your orbit is has a angle of 26 degrees. If you look at the equator, it intersects the equator at 26 degrees. But this orbit is only 3 degrees inclined.
Information flow from points across the base to mission control. So you can see Jupiter deserves its nickname as the nerve center of the space base.
Cool, you must put your brain to
Our third launch
rock.
of the year as we await the separation
Rock. I don't know what you mean. Can you
underneath that is HYLAS 4.
try and tell me what you mean? But here they're only inclined at 3 degrees, so they don't need the fuel for changing their inclination that much. What's the launch? It will not be a launch, it will be a static fire, but I will maybe even live stream it if I can get it done. But I don't know we're still debating on what we're going to use, what the sound, what the sizes are. But it's probably going to be this size. So yeah.
Our next film explores the relationship between Ariane space and HYLAS.
Put your brain to work.
HYLAS 4 is an hybrid propulsion satellite.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, my brain is not working. It's 12 o'clock here. Sorry. So yeah.
I would like to take this opportunity to extend my.
I will still take questions after this launch. I don't need to be. I only need to be at or I need to leave for school at 10 tomorrow, so I have enough time.
In the next few days, the onboard systems will be thoroughly checked, while a series of burns will place the satellite in geostationary orbit, where its payload will be tested and prepared.
We need to change the way of launch rocket trucks. Today I like big barrel of fuel and we light them up.
Capable of providing reliable, high-quality service.
Yeah, but I think the way of reusability, you use water and you don't produce CO2. And yeah, so I believe, what I believe is that we don't need to find other ways. And maybe Wi-Fi could work, but I need to see that TED Talk, and I didn't, to kind of figure out how it works. But I think Elon Musk is crazy enough that he will just in a few months will be like, yeah guys, let's make the second stage reusable. And yeah, I think SpaceX will eventually reuse their whole rocket.
Merging with ATK 3 years ago.
Yeah, they do. But they're a great way of launching things. They have a really powerful push, but they're not really efficient.
We've done hundreds of double launches. Each one requires a SILDA, which lets us carry the second satellite. 7 versions of it are available, ranging in height from just under 5 meters to about 6.5 meters. Tonight we're using the long version. And there on the animation you can see separation and the
there he goes. He used the long one. I need to redraw my SILDA variant, but yeah. I couldn't really find which SILDA they were using because they have 7 sizes, but it only says SILDA, and then they don't tell me which version they use.
The vehicle lost 240 tons of fuel in each booster 2 minutes after liftoff. Used up all the 175 tons of propellant in the first stage.
So yeah, you can see it's repositioning itself now, and then it spins up again for the last release.
The first passenger 5 tons, the SILDA 500 kilos. So what's left of 774 tons? The upper stage, that's the white band on the composite, empty of fuel 4 tons, down from 19 tons when fueled.
It is
HYLAS 4 tons, and it's
it's HTP
9 tons. 9 tons placed on orbit, down from 774 tons to get them there. So most of her weight, you have realized, is propellant.
Go to space. If you go to the website of the Ariane, or if you go to the Ariane's website, you will find the user manual. It is I think it's a document of 300 pages, and there is info on the SILDA in there. And there they go. That's the launch for today. So
you heard the applause and you heard the good news.
Yeah, let me go back to this one.
HYLAS 4 out over the Indian Ocean.
So yeah, if you want to find the info on all the rockets and you just go ahead, you just go to the company's website and just find the user manual of the rocket. But those are so thick, those documents are sometimes so thick that people don't want to read it, and that's why I read them and I look for specific info I want to know about, and then I just tell. But if you want to know, the Silda has 7 sizes, and the smallest one is 4.9 meters, and the largest one is 6.4 meters, and they have 7 versions. So they start with the shortest one, then they add 30 centimeters, then they have the second one, then they add another 30 centimeters, and so on and so on. Thanks, I'll skim it. Yeah. So yeah. Are there still any questions you want to ask me before I round up this live stream? Because I have school tomorrow and I don't want to make it too late. And if there are no questions, I will just say thank you for watching, like and share my channel. You know, I give you great info. I can answer a lot of questions. Sometimes I need to research it, and I go ahead and yeah, please share it. I gave great info. Next time I will have a better camera. I will use a Canon camera instead of my webcam. And yeah, thanks for another great live stream. Yeah, I will fix my internet. I will put it on a cable. And yeah, I will have 2 streams Saturday. One where I'm building the Atlas V. Hopefully I can finish it. And I will have a second one hosting the Atlas V launch. So yeah, thanks for watching. And yeah, see you next time. And always remember, Ad Astra.